Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Very positive, and we have that person, Anthony Kulp. So welcome to our show, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know, how long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate for almost 20 years, and I've been in the housing industry for almost 40.
Really?
Since I was a teenager.
Really? So it's funny, what real estate has had its ups and it's had its downs, but in South Florida, everybody needs something, you know, whether they're renting or they're buying, whether it's commercial or it's residential, but you're really more residential, aren't you?
I do residential, rentals, sales, property management.
Yeah, and what you do, Anthony, I think, is I believe that you actually find people more in the senior world. I mean, I know you'll do everything, but you really do. I think you specialize with people.
I'm a senior real estate specialist.
Oh, okay. Well, that says it. And what does that really entail?
Well, everybody knows what a realtor does, but when somebody comes to you, especially when they're a boomer, they have special needs, and a lot of it is price, the size, the maintenance, the reason they're moving, and there's other things that we go into. You know, are you going to leave the property to your family? Are you going to put it in a trust? So there's a lot more involved than just having somebody and taking them out and saying, oh, here's a place that's perfect for you. You should buy this one at your price. You have to look towards the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So when you first meet someone, what are the questions you ask them?
Well, typically they're retired, and I ask them, what do you do? What are your hobbies? Where do you go? Do you go to the beach all the time? Do you like walking and go to the park? Do you go to dinner? Do you go to the movies, the theater? And locate the area that they most go to.
That's very important, because I know if you're out west and they love the beach, not a good thing, right?
Yeah, people will see condos out west for a lot cheaper, but they'll warehouse themselves because they'll say, well, I would love to go to the beach today, but it's going to take me 40 minutes to get there, and there's traffic, and by the time I get there, there's not going to be any parking, and it's just such a hassle, and then 40 minutes to come home, so I don't feel like going today. And they end up staying in the house, and the worst thing a retired person can do is just sit in the house. You have to stay active.
I want to just tell you, though, I don't think I mentioned this to you before, because your special area, you have a lot of areas, but really is Palmyra. And years ago, I had a few friends that used to live in Palmyra. I went there all the time. They had beautiful apartments. They had artwork. Unfortunately, they're no longer with us. But Palmyra is the real place. It was almost like the Palm Beach of the West there.
In Palmyra, there's something for everybody. They have from a studio condominium all the way to $1 million houses. There's 2 clubhouses. It's lush. It's very well landscaped, extremely well cared for. There's walking. We have a Publix right in the middle of Palmyra. We have.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right in Palmyra. There's a Publix. We have the Skolnick Center, which is a community center for Pompano.
Oh, I've been there a lot. They have a lot of great classes that they do there. And
Right. And, you know, a lot of people are moving from larger homes into Palmyra. And, you know, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominium runs about 1,200 square feet. And you could have a patio home, like I live in, which is 2,400 square feet, or a villa, which is a single-family home, where everything is taken care of on the outside, and they can run up to 3,000 square feet. 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, carport, and it's perfect for somebody who still wants to have a large house, but not have all the maintenance.
Well, Anthony Kulp is my wonderful interview today, and I have to tell you that I was very attracted to him when I first met him, because he is the kind of a person who I can tell. I haven't seen him sell real estate, but I know if I were wanting to buy something, that you would be so nice to me and you'd be so helpful, because that's how you were when I first met you. See, a lot of people ran or jumped into real estate because they thought it was easy. But you, because I'm really a real estate broker, not practicing now, but I know it's not easy, and you have to be very dedicated, and you have to know your territory.
Exactly. And with being a senior real estate specialist, we have to get a little personal. And one of the things that I'll ask people is, do you have guns? We have a big problem with guns in this country
You must
now.
be, where, there?
Well, I'll ask somebody, do you have guns? And someone say, well, I have my father's sidearm from World War II, and we don't want to get rid of it. And I'll ask them, well, if something happens to you, where does that gun go? A lot of times they're passed down, they're sold into pawn shops, or they're sold over Craigslist or something like that. And now there's another gun on the street where it could be, you could keep it and have it, have work done to it so it's no longer able to work. Or, maybe it's just time to get rid of it.
Right, and that also goes for a lot of other things. They come from these big homes, as you said, and you showing them, a 2-bedroom, and they've been in a 4,000 square foot home, and you have the bad news for them is, listen, you're going to have to get rid of probably more than half of your stuff. You could lose the sale with that.
It's when you first meet with somebody, typically when somebody's thinking of selling their home, they've been thinking about it for a year. And as they think about it, they have a lot of turmoil because they know they're going to have to get rid of things. And when I meet with them, when they talk about it, I'll say, well, why don't you ask your family to come in and see what they want and tell them, I'm ready to get rid of this, this, and this. And sometimes people will leave things to other people who don't want it.
Mostly the kids.
Right, and you can enjoy giving somebody something while you're still alive and know it's going to a good home. And if they don't want it, then maybe you can sell it and use the money to help for moving. Or another thing is photo albums. When we get older, we have a lot of photo albums. And what I'll recommend to people is scan them in and put them on your computer. And when people scan them in and put them on their computer, they actually look at them more than digging out a photo album and paging through it where it falls apart and pictures are falling out. And of course, some people are going to save some pictures, like their wedding photos or diplomas and stuff like that. But getting rid of things it feels good afterwards because you're no longer responsible to maintain it. And paring down does really work for a lot of people.
Anthony, as a gentleman, I'm sure that you have to deal with a lot of the women and their husbands, and one has a, I like this, no, I don't want that. I mean, how do you, I remember that they can't figure out, they're married, but somehow they can't figure out what they both agree on. Do you ever get into fights, or do they ever ask you, Anthony, what do you think?
Well, typically, 80% of the time, it's the woman's choice. She cooks, she cleans, she has to run the household. Occasionally, if the husband has a hobby like golf, he'll have a little more input and say, I'd rather be here, it's closer to the golf course, it's, closer to the beach. But the majority of the time, it's the wife's choice.
Right, so she does it. As a person, though, dealing with seniors, so do you help them, let's say that if they've sold their home, or you help them sell their home, fine. Then you find them a place. Now, they've got to move, and moving is very traumatic. Do you help them with the moving company and all that?
Well, I have people that will help them pack, help them pare down, help them clean. Just people, a lot of them are also retired people who have already pared down. So it works out, and it's a slow process. You put things to the side and you say, okay, this is keep, but I'm going to get rid of this. But wait a minute, let me keep that again. And it's a process that you do over and over again until you've pared down enough.
Yeah, but you really do need to help people. I remember when we were moving, and my husband, I didn't want him really to do all the things he used to do, so I hired someone that made all the arrangements. Mm-hmm. They made the arrangements for the moving, they made the arrangements when they got to the house, they put everything away. That's really a very important service, and I hope that you can help someone do that.
Yes, I have a lot of people that I can refer. It's always good to have 3 or 4 people. Some of the people that I will work with who are selling their condominium are moving into retirement homes. And luckily, the good retirement homes have people who will come and do that.
Yes, the move-in, yes, counselors.
And what they do, they're so excellent at what they do. They come into somebody's home, they have so much patience, and they really know how to make the person feel good about getting, being able to part with things.
Yeah, that's true, parting. Okay, but now the other very important part of this is that if it's your listing, you probably have control. But sometimes you go and it's someone else's listing and things aren't really right, and you representing the person that, your buyer, you have to make sure that all the paperwork and everything gets taken care of and that they understand.
Exactly. Being a realtor, everybody thinks it's so easy, but getting the person through settlement is the hard part, and the negotiations, and showing houses is nice. It's fun. You go around, you look at houses, you see new things, but negotiating the contract, finding a settlement attorney or a title company that's going to do the work correctly. If somebody's getting financing, there's about 80 people involved in that transaction.
80 people?
80 people. Between underwriters and loan officers and appraisers and home inspections, and the list goes on and on. There's so many people in the background, plus you have to deal with the city and the county and the state. So, getting through, making sure that they have the information they need, because if they don't have it, they'll push it to the side and they move on to the next one. So, being in the business for almost 20 years, I try to get all that information together for title companies and the lenders so they don't have to ask twice for it.
Yeah, that's very important what you just described, because people do think that they just sign a contract and then they'll be in, but maybe they can't get in, or maybe you have found something wrong after you have the inspection, right? Mm-hmm. Inspections are really important, aren't they?
In South Florida, many of the homes are built in the 70s. Maybe you'll get lucky and find a couple that are built in the 80s. After Andrew, the housing...
the requirements were very strict, right, weren't they?
And, and just lately in the last 10 years, now homes have to have impact windows if they're within so many miles of the beach. And, somebody may see a home and it's a beautiful home and it's staged and everything is beautiful, but it doesn't have impact windows. It doesn't have a newer roof, which means your insurance is going to be higher.
Oh, I was just going to ask you that. So let's say they don't have impact windows. Can they still buy the house even though the insurance is, or how do they?
If you figure in the cost of the house and then what you would have to put into it to make it comfortable for you. Hurricanes. Let's address hurricanes and housing. It's very important in Florida. If you're a senior citizen and you live up by the beach and there's a hurricane coming, you are going to have to evacuate. And I recommend anybody, during hurricane season, keep extra medication around. Have a place to go. Many people know people who are in North Florida. Say, hey, listen, if there's a hurricane, can I come and stay with you?
That's really good advice, actually.
If you're going to live here, you have to be prepared. And now you might have people who live 5 or 6 miles from the beach. They rarely have people evacuate who live that far in from the beach. But if you're going to go stay with somebody, make sure their house is prepared, that it has impact window, that it's newer, and that the roof is strapped down, and maybe if they have a garage that you can put your car in, is always helpful.
So I want to give you your phone number, then I'm going to tell everybody. I'm going to give you his phone number. You can call him and move in with him for the hurricane. No, I'm kidding. But Anthony's number, and remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. Don't put this somewhere you won't find it. Put it up on your, even if you don't think you're moving today, you may be moving, or maybe a friend of yours is moving. 954-815-9048. Again, 954-815-9048. That's really good advice, because it's funny. I live in a condo and I have my little dog Charlie. I live on the 7th floor. And as soon as and it is on the Intracoastal, as soon as there's a hurricane warning, they want everyone to leave. Well, he can't walk down 7 floors, so I'm lucky I do have a friend that lives up in, north and the west part. But that was a very big part of our consideration of that. So you're very smart to talk about that. Let's also talk about people renting versus ownership.
Sure.
I know you'd love to talk about that.
If you're a senior citizen and you're looking to rent, which is a wonderful way to go because you're not responsible for a roof or maintenance, a dishwasher and stuff like that, but you want to find somewhere you're going to be able to stay, like an apartment complex. When you rent somebody else's condominium, a year later they could say, well, we decided to sell it, or we're going to move in, or for whatever reason, now you're moving again. And as we get older, it gets harder and harder to move. So what I recommend is moving into an apartment building. The other thing
But wait, so you find someone who's maybe an investor and isn't going to do it. How do you prevent that from happening?
Well, you want to look for a multi-family apartment complex. And it's nice in South Florida to have something that's gated with a pool and a workout center. But you never, if somebody should sell that complex, they want you to stay. They don't want empty apartments. So it gives you security that you're not going to have to move every couple of years. The other thing is a lot of people who are retired now had very good incomes when they retired. But now that income doesn't go so far. And one of the things I recommend is check with the cities, check with the county, check with the state to see if you qualify for any assistance, housing assistance.
How's that?
Well, you can become Section 8. You could get a Section 8 housing voucher, which will give you so much money towards rent. One of the things with Section 8 is they also, the city and the state and the county, they all have senior housing where it's 62 or higher. And it's a great place to live. They're very secure. And it's,
And you handle this?
I will help people with the process. I don't make any money from it. It's just I deal with a lot of senior citizens. I go to a lot of community centers. And some of the horror stories that I hear, I have a situation right now where a gentleman lives in a trailer park and they're selling the trailer park to a developer.
The whole park?
They're selling, they've already sold half of it. And unfortunately, he saw the writing on the wall, but he decided, I'll wait. And now they just gave him notice, you're out in 6 months. He owns his trailer. There's a good chance they won't give him anything for the trailer. So he has to find a place. And he just, the income is tough. And he's going to have to dip into his investment money, which will then bring down the amount of money that he has every month to buy a place. So, it's hard. It's hard for people who have been living someplace for 20 years, and when they moved in, the maintenance fee might have been $150, and now it's $450. And they're getting a special assessment, and they can't afford the special assessment. So there's a lot of different situations, and people need to be made aware that there is help out there, but you have to do the work. Nobody's going to come and say, here's a housing voucher. We're going to pay $500 of your rent every month. It doesn't work like that. You have to get online. You have to talk to people. And typically with government, you have to go and sit there and say, I'm not leaving until you help me.
And then you bring Anthony with you. Anthony, it's so nice to deal with you. See, as I said before, it seems like if someone can't get a job, they go take a real estate license, and it's getting harder all the time. And then they think they're going to sell. Well, that doesn't work. They don't understand. It'd be easier to just go work at Dunkin' Donuts or something than think if you're going to sell real estate, because you've been in it long enough to know that you work hard, and there's a lot of gratitude, though, and I do understand what you're saying, because I'm sure, knowing you, you get lots of referrals, and you have lots of people that cook you dinners, and they want to, thank you for what you've done for them.
What I do, I have a little bit of an Achilles heel in real estate. If somebody comes to me and they're going to be very difficult to get into a place, for some reason I'll spend all my time and effort with them. And somebody else will come along and say, I want to buy this house, and I have cash, and it's going to be an easy deal, and I don't pay maybe as much attention as them as I should, because they don't need as much help with purchasing a home. So it's the part of doing real estate for me that I can sleep at night and know that I did something good today.
So what I suggest is, if you're thinking about renting a home, if you're thinking about buying a home or an apartment, is that appropriate for me to say, come visit me at my apartment or come visit me at my home? But I like to say home. My home is my home, no matter if it's an apartment or not, right?
Sure. And when you have an apartment, that is your home. You have what's called a leasehold estate on that property. And you have rights. I mean, people just can't come walk through your door. And you want, when you do move and you find an apartment, all of the information is online for Florida Landlord Tenant Code. And you can read through it, and you can see what your rights are. With the internet today, information is at your fingertips. Take a couple minutes. It's frustrating. I know it's frustrating. And I know it's a lot of legal jumbo mumbo. But just take your time, read through one piece at a time. They do break down what the landlord-tenant code is, and you'll be able to go through and read it and, be aware of what your rights are.
But I do want to say one thing about it, and I didn't know if you were going to go there, but I think if you're really seriously looking, to lease a home, apartment, or to buy, don't get on the internet and try to do it yourself. I mean, it seems like it's simple. There are all these sites, but you won't even know what you're looking at. It'll take you through, and you can walk through it in a sense, but you don't know, and if you find something, they probably sold it already. It's like if you go to a car mechanic, just don't go to your brother-in-law who's going to fix your car. Go to a company that's experienced, and that's how I feel about you. It's very depressing for someone who does not understand anything about real estate. They get online because they have all these places, and then you're not dealing with someone you even know. You see, they're online realtors. They could be in Connecticut. What you want to do is deal with someone like Anthony. He's right here in South Florida. He doesn't just do Palm Air. He does everything in South Florida. If you just give him the statistics, or let's say he'll give you the statistics, you give him your, he'll consult with you. You tell him pretty much what you're thinking. Now, I will say this, that sometimes people don't really know what they want. And you have to, as you said, you ask him all those questions, and then you can say, I don't think you really want to be there because you're not going to get to play golf, or you don't want to be out by the beach because of blah, blah, blah. So it's nice to have someone who's really a counselor. Just like, that's important.
I've lost many sales.
Oh.
Because I do speak my mind, and I say, no, you don't want that. What is wrong with you? Why would you want that piece of property? And, people have a certain dream. One of the funny things, people will move to South Florida, and they'll be looking along the beach. And I'll say to them, why are you looking along the beach? You don't look like you sit in the sun. And they'll say, well, when you move to Florida, isn't that where you want to live, up on the beach? And I said, well, for the same amount of money that you're willing to pay on the beach that you never go to, that window is a big black hole all night long, unless there's a ship out there on fire. Let me take you and show you condominiums that are twice the size, that have more amenities, that have walking paths, that I think you're going to enjoy a little more. And then I'll take them away. It's somewhere a little bit more inland. And they'll say, oh, this is great. We didn't think that, that this was in South Florida, but I think we're going to be happy here.
Right. And also they can always go to the beach. They can, a lot of restaurants are on the beach, and you're absolutely right. So, but it is in their mind. They've always decided something. Now, some people, come from the mountains in North Carolina, and you've told them there's no mountains here.
Right. We have one mountain. It's in Pompano. You'll see it from the turnpike.
Oh, yeah, we see that one, right, with all the...
It's called Pompano Mountain.
Right. Is that what you call it? I know, it's very funny. But at least it doesn't smell. Years ago, there used to be a odor when you drove by there, but there isn't. They've got that figured out.
Very well taken care of, and they have a whole water system there, and
I know it.
It just doesn't run off into our,
right.
into the groundwater. They have it's very well maintained.
Right. But let's go back now and just give people your phone number. I want to do that, and it's Anthony Kulp, Kulp, and it's 954-815-9048. And I'm going to give you a website. It's really important. We're encouraging people to get on websites, especially on ours. But anyway, it's Real Estate.
SOFL.com.
Real Estate, for South Florida. I'm sorry, I didn't figure that one out. Real Estate, SOFL.com. Right. But you can call them anytime. Don't call them, late at night, though, please, or early.
You can call. I'm not going to.
Yeah, right.
Leave a clear message.
Right. This is the other thing. It's really important, I have to tell you, with my real estate hat on. If you start to deal with Anthony, please don't go other places and find other realtors. That's not fair, and I always tell people that. And if you drive by a home, don't go in yourself. Call Anthony. Say, Anthony, will you find out about this house? Because in the long run, you'll be better off. You need an advocate. We talk about that with healthcare. You need an advocate. But real estate's a very serious business. You're looking now at hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes, right?
Well, not only that, you have condominium documents, rules and regulations. If you have a pet, do they allow pets? If you have an emotional support animal, it's not just going and buying a house anymore. Most houses now are in communities. And even if you're moving into, say, Fort Lauderdale, and you're not in a community, well, what rules do they have in Fort Lauderdale for, say you have a second home in North Carolina and you have a travel trailer, and you want to park your travel trailer in the driveway? Can I put it in my driveway in Fort Lauderdale?
Can they?
In some areas they can. Of course, if you're a condominium, you're not going to be able to put it there. And in those cases, then I'll say, well, you know, there's a U-Haul place where you can, if you really like this house, I think for $50 a month you can park it at this U-Haul facility where they have facilities for that, and then you can live here, and it'll be watched. It'll be in a gated area. There's just these stuff that you know, you can imagine. There's a lot of people will move here and they'll say, well, I only need a 2-bedroom, but my kids and grandkids are going to come down, and the city will have a rule: no more than 2 people per bedroom.
Really? And you know that. That's something that you find out, isn't it, when you deal with people?
Right.
Yeah.
Or I give you somebody who can find that information, because there's a lot of things that I'm not an expert at. I'm getting close to being an expert at real estate. You're always learning something every deal that you do.
Well,
But I know the people that you can talk to
Yeah.
that will help you.
I can assure you, I really can. This is Anita Finley, and you know who I am. I can assure you, if you're looking for real estate, I hope you will call Anthony Kulp, and the phone number is 954-815-9048, or go, you know, just get him on the phone, and he'll get you in the right direction. And if he can, if there's a problem, he'll be very honest and tell you.
Many people I help, they're not buying or selling, but they know someone who is.
Right. Thank you, Anthony. We'll have you back another time.
Well, thanks for having me.